And if you look at the government statistics, you've got record high trade deficits. This is not a sign of a vibrant, growing economy, but a weak economy that's surviving on debt and imports. But I also think another key measure is the low popularity of Biden and Harris. Right? Biden is the most unpopular president since they've taken the polls. And Kamala Harris is the most unpopular vice president ever. Now, why is she so unpopular? I mean, what has she done? I mean, she hasn't done anything, but the vice presidents don't really do anything. But why are the Biden and Harris so unpopular?
Welcome back, folks. Today we're diving into the numbers, but not just any numbers. We're talking about record high deficits, both in budgets and trade. Now hold on, because this isn't a sign of a thriving economy. Quite the opposite. We're looking at an economy teetering on debt and reliant on imports. But here's the kicker. It's not just about the numbers on paper. We're delving into the low popularity of Biden and Harris. Yes, you heard that right. Biden's sitting as the most unpopular president in recent history, and Harris isn't faring much better. But why? Well, the answer might surprise you. Join Peter Schiff as he unpacked the real reasons behind their plummeting popularity and why the economy holds the key. Stick around, because the truth might just change your perspective.
Well, you know that I don't think there's going to be a soft landing. I don't even know if it's a landing, because if we crash, I don't think that constitutes a landing. But I think the economy is in far worse shape than the conventional wisdom would suggest. Certainly, Wall Street, the Biden administration, the media are spinning the economy into something that it's not. I think the statistics are very misleading, especially if you just accept them at face value. A lot of the statistics that purport to support a strong economy, I think, are going to be revised down. I don't even have any confidence that the numbers are going to hold up. I've been pointing out, and you may recall, that the 2008 Great Recession wasn't called until December of '08, and they said it started in December of '07. So they went back for an entire year and redid all the data. And the data previously had shown that the economy was good and it was growing and everything was great. And then they went back and said, you know what, all those statistics were wrong. We've actually been in a recession for an entire year. So there is a precedent for doing that. And I wouldn't expect those type of revisions to come until after this election, right? There's no way Biden's going to come out and admit that we've been in a recession for the past year or two. But they may ultimately acknowledge that once, the voters can no longer, react to it. And if you look at the government statistics, you've got record high budget deficits, record high trade deficits. This is not a sign of a vibrant, growing economy, but a weak economy that's surviving on debt and imports. But I also think another key measure is the low popularity of Biden and Harris, right? Biden is the most unpopular president since they've taken the polls, right? So I don't know when they started, but he's the lowest. And Kamala Harris is the most unpopular vice president ever. Now, why is she so unpopular? I mean, what has she done? I mean, she hasn't done anything, but the vice presidents don't really do anything. But why are the Biden and Harris so unpopular? Well, the answer is because the economy is lousy and they're getting the blame. And in fact, when you look at the polls, where Biden scores lowest is on the economy. And what's the main problem is inflation. Inflation is robbing people of their purchasing power. And the reason we have so much inflation is because we have so much government. An inflation problem is a government problem because government pays for spending by creating inflation. The central bank helps the government by monetizing debt, quantitative easing, keeping interest rates artificially low to stimulate demand and consumption. And this is why prices are going up. And these higher prices are a tax. And the average Americans and the poor are feeling that tax bite, far more than the rich. And so, maybe Biden still has the support of some of the rich people who have gotten wealthy from inflation because they own assets and they don't care if it costs them 40 or 50% more to buy groceries because they don't even pay attention to their grocery bill because it's such a small percentage of what they spend. But people who are clipping coupons because groceries take a big bite out of their paycheck, they're the ones that are feeling this. So the economy is bad, and it's going to get worse. That is the reality, because the inflation problem is going to get bigger. It's not solved. It's not going back down to 2%. It's already headed back up in the other direction. Long-term interest rates are going to be pushed higher by rising inflation, and that's going to compound the problem. And I think it's only a matter of time before a lot of these part-time jobs are eliminated. And we're going to start to see an official increase in the unemployment rate, which is going to be very problematic because now it's going to be stagflation. I mean, I think we're already there, but now the statistics are going to bear that out. The U.S. government will be spending 100% of what it collects in taxes just paying interest on the national debt. Now, obviously, we can't get to that point. There's no way the bond market, the currency market, is going to allow the U.S. government to get to the position where all of the tax revenue goes to paying interest on the debt, right? And we have no money for anything, right? Not even to pay the people to send out the checks to the bondholders. Or we won't have any money. You know, that means that the government would have to borrow 100% of the defense budget, Social Security, Medicare, everything. So sometime between now and then, this thing has to collapse. The question is, when, right? Do we have the crisis this year? Do we have it next year? Do we have it in 2026? But every year we don't have it, the odds of it happening the next year grow up. Yeah, well, first of all, you know, the Costco story is kind of overhyped to kind of indicate that this is some kind of mania, that this is the sign of a top because people are going to Costco and buying gold. You know, Costco is just one store. You know, it's not like they got gold being sold, you know, in all the stores, right? You know, it's just Costco, right? And I think they limit it to like maybe 3 ounces of purchase. So this is not that significant. But it's an indication of the beginning of a trend that people who didn't buy any gold at all are now starting to nibble. And so I don't think this means that, this is one of these, hey, even the taxi cab driver is buying gold, it's time to get out. This is early days of the public. And in fact, if you look at real public demand, right, look at the ETF GLD, Americans have been net sellers. So the whole time gold rallied from 2,000 to 2,400, which was a 20% move in under 4 months. That's a huge move for gold. I mean, maybe not for Bitcoin, but that's a big move for something like gold. And especially with the market cap. I mean, because gold has a much bigger market cap. So gold moving up 20% is like Bitcoin quadrupling or something like that. I mean, there's a lot of market cap there. Despite the fact that gold moved up 20%, retailers were selling the whole time. They kept liquidating their gold holdings. And so the question is, why are these central banks buying gold? Because, you know, they could be buying dollars and holding U.S. treasuries and getting 5%. But why are they turning that down and owning gold and getting 0%? And I think it's because they can read the writing on the wall. They don't have confidence in the fiscal responsibility of Congress or the ability of the Fed to fight inflation. And they're voting with their feet. They're selling their dollar assets and they're increasing their gold reserves. And I think this trend is going to continue. This is the de-dollarization, and central banks are moving out of dollars and also to a lesser extent out of euros, out of yen and pounds. And they're moving more into real money. They want to back up their own currencies with money rather than another fiat currency that's backed by nothing. This is the beginning, I think, of that trend. It's got a long way to play out because the central banks still way under-own gold, especially the central banks that have been buying. The Western central banks have much greater gold reserves as a percentage of total reserves than emerging markets. Emerging markets have all the reserves. They have much more in the way of foreign exchange reserves than the big countries. And so this is a major shift. And, you know, it's unfortunate because you've got so many Americans who have been buying Bitcoin or these Bitcoin ETFs, and they're selling their gold in order to do it. And so you have the Eastern central banks taking advantage of this. They're buying the gold that Americans are selling. And this is a negative development because it's basically a flow of wealth leaving the U.S., going to China, going to India, or wherever the gold is being bought, and Americans are just stuck with nothing.
As we conclude our exploration into the intricacies of our economic landscape, we want to express our deepest gratitude for embarking on this journey alongside Peter Schiff. Your unwavering support and engagement fuel the very essence of this community. Remember, in the realm of knowledge lies the power to shape our tomorrow. If today's discourse resonated with you, spread the love by tapping that like button and sharing your insights in the comments section below. Don't miss out on future enlightenments. Subscribe and activate notifications. Until our next rendezvous, continue to illuminate the path, seek wisdom, and leave an indelible mark on the world. Farewell for now, and may our paths cross again soon.